Dev Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Astotra Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. To all of our Guru Varga, our disciplic succession of self-realized gurus, and all the assembled devotees. I was very impressed by your beautiful chanting. It's so much heart. When I was asking some of the devotees when I first came what I should speak about, because I like to ask the local devotees because they know the people best, better than I do. They were suggesting to talk about the glories of the chanting itself, because now, largely by our Srila Prabhupada's mercy, since he came to the West in 1965, first landing in Boston actually, there's a big upsurge of kirtan, all kinds of kirtan, and nowadays, in the past few years, it's become popular even among those who are not Vaishnavas, or especially not Gaudiya Vaishnavas. With Bhakti Fest and Shakti Fest and Kirtan Fest, it's become very, very popular. So I was asked to speak about what is actually the meaning of Kirtan, what is the goal, what's the meaning of the names, what is the power, what are the benefits of the Kirtan. First, it's important to know the goal, because without a goal, we can't have a process. Like we all, you all, took cars here. Most everybody didn't walk, or even if you walked, when you left your house, you had to know the final destination, the address of the final destination of this essence of healing place. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have been able to make the first turn after coming out of your door. So it's impossible to really even begin spiritual life without knowing the end. Suppose you want, your goal is milk, then you have a couple of choices for what your process is going to be. Like, for example, you might work a 9-to-5 job and then go to the supermarket, buy your milk, and heat it up just a little bit, or you don't even have to do that. Or you could raise a cow and milk it and get the milk, and then you'd have to boil the milk 3 times. Then you maybe you'd add some saffron, some ghee, and have your nice flavored milk. First offering it to Krishna, of course. So if you want money, let's say money is the goal, then I can either get a job or I can rob a bank, but I conceive of my process by what my goal is. So what is the goal then of chanting? The goal of chanting, according to all the revealed scriptures, is the same as the goal of life, because according to the Vedic literatures, the main process for self-realization, particularly in this age of Kali, which began 5,000 years ago, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. In other ages, when people lived for, say, in Satyayug, the age of goodness, people lived for 100,000 years. So at that time, their minds were also very powerful, and they could meditate on the Lord. Then, in the next age, Treta Yuga, it was fire sacrifices. And even they could do animal sacrifices, sacrificing a very old animal and saying some mantras. And if the mantras and the fire sacrifice was actually effective and powerful, then that sacrificed old animal will become a young animal, will be again born at the end of the sacrifice. So these things are not permitted because there's no qualified person to do it in this age. Then in the next age it was elaborate temple worship. But in this age, Kalotat Hari Kirtana, in the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there's no other way, no other way, no other way than chanting the holy name of the Lord. Chanting the holy name of the Lord. Chanting the holy name of the Lord. Our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, gave a very interesting analogy that I see some of you are from the previous generation, a few, like myself, when they didn't have digital cameras in those days, but they had manual cameras. Digital camera, you just can't go wrong. It just does its thing. You stick the thing in a USB port and you get these gorgeous pictures. But in the olden days, if you made a click with the camera and then you didn't go like that to flip it, and then you took it again and didn't flip it, and then took it again, and then you'd be real excited. Now forever, my family's picnic will be immortalized. And then you bring it into the camera place, and then it takes a few days to get the film, and then the whole strip is black because you forgot to do that. So since the beginning of time, we, the living entity, the infinitesimal spirit soul, have been wandering around through the 8,400,000 species of life, according to our mentality and karma. And within those species, we get different impressions and self-conceptions. Like, now I'm an aardvark, now I'm a bird, now I'm a dog, now I'm a tiger, now I'm a demigod, now I'm an insect. So when we have all that combination, since time immemorial, which is uncountable years, not billions or trillions, but uncountable years, then when I look in the mirror of my heart to see myself, all I see is dust, layers of dust, just like that black film strip. So the first installment of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is that it cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated since the beginning of time, so that I'm able to see myself as pure soul. When I look in that mirror, I'm able to see God, Krishna, and I'm able to see the world around me. That's the first installment. And then Baba Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, the fire of repeated births and deaths, is extinguished. Since the beginning of time, we've been in a great forest fire of material existence. And like if you're in the middle of the fire, you may become so heated and so tortured that you'll become unconscious, and then you think you're all right. But actually we're in a great forest fire of material existence. And that fire is extinguished by the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, which is actually the subtlest form of God. Just like now, again, I'll use a digital analogy. Now we have the digital phones, which, although they're not connected by wires, still there's an electrical system with, what do you call those towers? Cell towers. And also there's still the electrical wires going across the country. So if you wanted to speak with a friend, say in California, even though you're in Boston, their form is where it is in California. And then somehow or other, that form is carried through the electrical and cellular and virtual waves. And then at the other end, here in Boston, on the phone, there they are. You're actually speaking with them. So our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, said that if this is possible by with material things, gross material things, then what to speak of the Supreme Lord? The names of the Lord are none different from Him. So you could say His names, that is, whenever Srila Gurudev would have an initiation, maybe some of you have experienced that, he would always talk about the power of chanting, because at the time of initiation, he would put in the heart of the disciple the seed of pure chanting. Now we're chanting, but not purely. We're thinking of so many things. Then gradually there's a clearing stage, and then one chants Shuddhanam, or the pure holy name, where one experiences the name as being non-different from Krishna himself. And that's the stage where I actually realize my own spiritual form within this gross body of pus, blood, stool, and urine. I realize my own body of eternity, bliss, and knowledge, and become an actual associate of the Lord. So pure Nam is not a small thing. So at the time of initiation, Srila Gurudev explains the power of the name. He says, just like Krishna, not even Krishna himself, but a portion of 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 him that is 5 times removed, expansion, breathes, creates innumerable universes in one moment. And in the next moment, he destroys them, and the next moment he recreates them.